Hey everybody, welcome to week 5 and 6. So for this week, we're going to start getting into, starting to think about our task analysis for this course, and that's kind of our first major assignment. And one of the things I'm going to ask you to talk about is this idea of like how cognitively demanding this activity is that you give your students. And so we're going to start off week 5 doing a bunch of reading around the ideas of cognitive demand. And we're going to look at a very specific way to think about cognitive demand. There's these matrices called the Hess cognitive rigor matrix. And what it does is it has this opportunity to kind of think about Bloom's taxonomy along with depth of knowledge. And it's kind of a really neat path. I'm going to show it to you briefly here. Um, and so you'll see kind of in the very first column, it talks about, activities where you remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. And then across the rows, we have depth of knowledge. So is this a recall activity or skills and concepts or strategic thinking and extended thinking? And so what I like about it is that you kind of think about where does my task potentially fit? Between those two. And let's say that it's a DOK level 2 and understand. We can really think about our objectives for our class here, right? We can think about using words like specify or make and record observations. And that will give you a sense of how to kind of like build those objectives that we want students to think about in class. So I want you to do some reading about cognitive demand because you're going to be talking about cognitive demand for your first major assignment. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get into another digital atelier experience. This one is called virtual reality experiences. And so for this one, you don't have to have a VR headset. You can look online for kind of 3D virtual tours or do your own exploration. Go to YouTube, there's tons of stuff, or just use your imagination. Think about something. So I have a quick little interesting podcast to listen to about how folks are using VR to tackle gender disparity in STEM ed. I think it's a really interesting listen, may give you some ideas. I added a couple of examples from YouTube as well to look at, but I really want you to do your own search. So if you have a VR headset, great, do it. If you want to look for 3D virtual tours, go for that. Or you can just kind of, again, come up with something on your own. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to think about an upcoming task that you're going to be doing in class. And I want you to think about how you can like VRify it. So I have a bunch of kind of very specific tasks along the way that I ask you to do. And then at the very end, I'm going to ask you to reflect upon like, where does this fit in terms of cognitive demand? That's our first activity. The next activity is book club chapter 3, and one of your peer groups has put together the prompts. I'm excited to see what that looks like. And then in week 6, I'm going to keep it easy because we're getting closer to the task analysis assignment. So what I'm going to ask you to do there is I'm going to ask you to meet in your small group video chats and do a peer review. And again, I have a protocol for you to go through and do that. And you're going to record a 15 to 20-minute video and send it to me via Slack, one person per group. And that's our experiences. I'm really excited to see what y'all come up with and hope you have a really wonderful week. Thank you.